Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to day number 2 of the Strong, Healthy, and Empowered You online summit. Guys, I am super pumped. If it is anything to go off, day number 2 is just going to be just as magical, just as powerful, just as transformative as all of the amazing truth bombs that Sarah Dan dropped for us yesterday. So, guys, I am just going to add Ellie in. Ellie is an upcoming TEDx speaker, TEDx talk speaker. Oh my goodness. Hey, Ellie, I'm just introducing you. Welcome.
Hi, so nice to
Hi.
see you.
So nice to see you. So, I was just telling everybody how amazing you are. So, you're a
Aw,
best-selling author,
I
an
am.
upcoming TEDx speaker, CEO and
Yes,
founder of The New Brave. So
yes.
you are an incredible woman.
Aw, thank you.
I'm so excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about how you got to where you are today.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. I was blown away by the list of women that I get to hang with in this summit. I am just so blessed and filled with gratitude. So thank you, and thank you for the amazing grace with which you put together this event and the way that you gather people to you and that you support other people who are doing really great work in the world. So
Thank
I love you
you.
so much and thank you.
You too.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I have a history. Who I have become in the face of the things that have happened in my life is the thing that I am most proud of, outside of course, my son. And I have had experiences that would be enough to put a lot of people under. And I was connected to resources during those times of challenge that helped me to really decide who I wanted to be in the face of those challenges. And because of that, I've recognized that life is, of course, not about the challenges that happen to us, but how we respond to the challenges that happen to us. And so my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor when my son was less than a year old. And he passed away about a year after that. And yeah, that was a huge challenge, as you can imagine. Uh,
Can I ask how old your son is now?
my son is now 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was many, many years ago. And it was actually the thing that really defined who I am in terms of understanding my strength. And so it was one of those things that in a physical body, would I have chosen this experience? No. But I have a very strong core spiritual belief system that I am a spiritual being here having a physical experience. And that on some level, my husband and I chose this. And on some level, my son chose to grow up without a dad. And so, yeah, so during that time period, my father actually passed away 2 months before my husband did.
Oh,
So yeah, my dad was at home with hospice in New Hampshire, and I was here with hospice and with my husband in hospice in Massachusetts. And I couldn't go and be with my dad. There was a giant snowstorm, and it was clear it was towards the end, and all of that. And so I had to say goodbye to him on the phone. So those things have happened to me. And I say those not to say, oh, I want everybody to feel sorry for me, but because I want people to understand that hard things can happen in your life and you can still emerge stronger. You can choose
oh,
the story that they create in your life. You can choose what you make of what happens. So
yeah.
my mom died several years later. I've suffered from depression. I've suffered from obsessive compulsive eating. I've had a challenging path. And so when I tell you that my big takeaway that I want to share with you today is that the biggest question that you can ask in business and in life is, how do I raise my vibration now? In this instance, how do I raise my vibration? Now, I say that in a lot of different ways, and I'm going to give the people who are watching 3 tools that are specifically handy ways to raise your vibration in different circumstances. But let's just talk about vibration for a second. So what I mean by your energetic vibration is when we are thinking a thought, we are putting energy into the world. When we are speaking, we are putting energy into the world. And I'm probably preaching to the choir with you, and you probably know this, Shannon, but I just want to get everybody on the same page. And when we're acting, we're putting energy into the world, whatever we do. And that energy is always, 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 we can't get around it, based on an energy of either love or fear. And that's what I learned when my husband was diagnosed with his brain tumor. We had so many amazing things come together. And one of them was that a person who had been part of my life prior to that, I haven't seen him since then. He somehow found out about the brain tumor. He came to visit us and he said, and I believe he was an angel on earth in that moment, he said, you need to read the book Conversations with God. And I was like, I actually have that on my shelf. I started it, I really liked it, but I got distracted by other things. And it's not a religious book. It's not a, this is what you have to believe, or this is, anything like that. It's just, it was my first introduction to a completely different sort of spiritual belief system. And it's where I learned this idea about putting energy into the world of love or fear. So my husband and I both ended up with our own dog-eared copies of this book. And we set about choosing love over fear in every instant that we could. And my life ever since then has been about that choice. And so when you choose love, love is a high vibration emotion. We are putting an energetic footprint into the world at all times. And when we choose love, that energetic footprint is a high vibration footprint, and we are affecting the energy field of which we are all a part. When we choose fear, which happens, we get hijacked, things happen. And when we go to that fear-based place, we're putting out a lower vibration. And so what we're drawing to us at that point is lower vibration experiences. Now, here's where it gets tricky. We have this idea that we want to be a coach in the world, that we want to do these amazing things in the world. And then we get all up in our head with, I have to do it right. I have to do it perfectly. I have to have all the tags right. And I have to make sure I have the right email program. And I have to make sure that I've dotted all my I's and I've crossed all my T's. And it is crazy making. And for me, what I discovered is that completely depletes my power. Mm-hmm. It depletes it. When I am powered up, which is what I call my luminosa, we all have a luminosa inside of us. It's what I call the highest and best, the goddess of the love and light in each of us. And I created this paradigm called the ladder of well-being. And imagine a ladder is in front of us and there's 20 rungs on it. And the bottom rung is -10. The middle rung is 0, and the top rung is +10. Now at the very bottom rung, that's what I call hijacked you. Anything from -10 to 0, you are in a fear-based emotion, and it's what I call the red zone. Now in the red zone, you're hijacked, you can't think clearly, you're not bringing your best self to the table. I had one of these experiences the other day. I was depleted. I had a challenging situation trying to park under time pressure because I needed to get to a ferry. My son and I needed to get to a ferry, and I lost my cool. I didn't scream, I didn't do anything like that, but I couldn't think clearly. I parked in one place and I was like, this is the wrong place. And I went to move and I got out of the car and I got back in the car and I couldn't make a decision to save my life. And that's what happens when we get depleted and when we're like things happen. So things happen all the time to us, but it's what we do when those things happen that determine whether we're going to wallow down here in the red zone or whether we're going to go up to the green zone. So up in the green zone is from 0 to +10. And that's where what I call, this is a piece of simple, sexy brain science that everybody needs to know if they don't know this, okay? This is your prefrontal cortex. It's your PFC. You don't need to remember the fancy name for it, but you do need to remember that your PFC is a critical resource if you want to navigate life, if you want to create magic in business, if you want to create magic in your relationships, anything like that. If you're in hijacked, stress zone, red zone, all bets are off. You're going to be impatient. You're going to all of the worry, perseverate, be an overwhelm, just be in this low vibration place. And then you're going to invite more low vibration experiences to you, and you're not going to be able to think clearly to start inviting higher vibration experiences and doing sifting and sorting through the options. Mm-hmm. So your prefrontal cortex is responsible for your ability to think clearly, to make decisions, to memorize things, to recall things, to inhibit impulses. Your prefrontal cortex is like your best friend. And I discovered this the hard way because that's where my husband's brain tumor was, his prefrontal cortex. So I saw firsthand what it means to have your prefrontal cortex offline. And what happens is that we're not very generous with ourselves. There are times when our PFC gets offline because we get hijacked. We go into a fight, flight, or freeze response. We say we send the text that we really regret later. We say the thing that we really regret later. And then we're basically, I call it like chutes and ladders. It's like a game of chutes and ladders. You want to climb up this ladder of well-being, and suddenly you're on a chute and you're going down the ladder. Then we shame ourselves for it, which is basically like saying, okay, you're not low enough on the ladder. Let me push you lower. So shame is this thing that takes us in a spiral way down the ladder and makes it harder to do the things that are way up here. It's like somebody has just taken the power cord to our prefrontal cortex and pulled it, because our body metaphorically believes we're running from a tiger. So it's taking all of the resources that your PFC needs, and it's basically telling you, so your immune system shuts down, your digestive system shuts down, and it's all going into the adrenaline response, the cortisol response. So let me stop and just see if you have any questions for me so far. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making a ton of sense. I had a question. I'm not sure that there's any other questions yet, and I'm sure you're probably about to cover this, but how do we get from the red zone to the green zone?
Well, that is really the question, right? And that is largely what I coach on, is like rise up luminosa, is that idea of how do we live as high as possible on the ladder? Because what's available up there, let's first of all talk about when we're up in the green zone, we get to radiate our best qualities to the world. We get to be, if we are patient at our best, if we're generous at our best, if we're compassionate, if we're kind, if we're insightful, if we're wise, if we're creative, that's all up there. So yes, that is the full game, but that's the only game. To get there, stay there, and to increase what our set point is, or a wave point. Because really, it's kind of waves, right? Things happen. When I was in boarding school many, many years ago, my set point, my wave point was down probably around -8. Things would happen and I would come up from it, but then I would kind of go back down to that. My set point now, because of the work that I've done to reprogram, rewire my brain, because of who I've chosen to be in the face of these challenges, my set point is around 8. So what it's a twofold thing. It's basically you change your set point by reconditioning. I playfully call it auto 2.0. So it's like we're auto-programmed to handle life in a certain way based on our experiences that we've had so far. And I playfully call that OTTO 1.0. That's like the first version of us, right? Then we start to intentionally program our brains and wire our brains the way we want to, and we up level to auto 2.0 or auto 3.0. So there's all these ways that you can condition your brain so that your set point is higher to begin with. Then the second part is that you learn how to handle when you get into that reaction mode, you learn how to handle it and get yourself higher. And so that's the 3 things that I wanted to talk further in depth about, is 3 of the tools that I use that I call green zone elevators. They get you back into the green zone when you're out of it.
Oh my God, let's talk about them.
Let's talk about those. Those are so cool. Okay. So the first one that I would like to talk about is purpose. Purpose is a green zone activator. When you are on purpose, you are on point. When you are on purpose, your brain, your prefrontal cortex, gets the energy that it needs to move forward. Now, here's what it looks like when you are off purpose. I was at a Tony Robbins event many, many years ago. I was climbing a telephone pole, which was 30 feet high in the air, intentionally, attached to a harness. The idea was you climb this telephone pole, and then you somehow you're 30 feet in the air. The top of the telephone pole is about the size of a dinner plate. There's nothing to hold on to. And you somehow have to get yourself from the telephone pole to this dinner plate size thing, and then you leap off of it. Okay, so me, without a sense of purpose, without a sense of an empowered purpose, I'm like, at first my purpose is, okay, I'm climbing, and I have something to hold on to. I have something to take my focus. My focus, your focus is so important, right? That's what your purpose is all about. So I have the telephone pole in front of me. I can see it. I'm climbing it. I'm good. I hear my team, go Ellie, they're chanting. It's all like, I'm all in the zone. I get to the top and there's no telephone pole to look at. I'm up there and I'm like, I can see the ocean. It's on the beach in San Marco Island. I can see the beach. I can see a lot of people below me. And then all I can think is like, how the hell do I get on top of the, like, how can I possibly do this? And I freeze. That is a fight, flight, or freeze response. That was frozen. I was like, I got nothing. I think it's looking like a really good idea to just go back down. And then I realized that I hear somebody else's name being called, and I hear, Cheryl, go Cheryl, go Cheryl. And I remember to look around, and there's 3 other telephone poles. There's 4 of us out there. And Cheryl is now reaching the top of her pole, and her team is calling to her. And I look over and I see Cheryl, and she is terrified. She's hanging on to the telephone pole for dear life. She can't move up. She can't move down. She hasn't made it as far as I have. And my heart goes out to her. And all I can think is, I want to help Cheryl. I get out of my own way. My purpose is now, I want to help Cheryl. I'm not stuck in like when we're hijacked and we're in the red zone, our brain is just scanning for the hard stuff. It's just focused on the challenge, on the barrier, and we can't let go. So in this moment, by the grace of God or whatever, I see Cheryl, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, Cheryl. Like, and she's like, what? She's looking around like, why is somebody up here at my level calling me? And she looks over and she's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm Ellie. How you doing? And that moment was the moment that shifted what was possible for me. I got out of my own way. It wasn't about me and my journey. It was about her and her journey. And what could I do to help her? And I want to encourage everybody who's watching. There's so many amazing coaches out there who are burying your light because you're afraid you got to do it right. You got to like whatever. I'm like, get out of your own damn way and think about the people you're serving. Think about the people who, if you help them, the mom who's going to be a better mom, the mom who's going to be patient, the mom who's going to have more fun with her kids. Think about the people, the ripple effects. Like the ripple effects, that's my biggest purpose, is I think about the ripple effects. Like even if we only had one person watching this, the ripple effects of that, we can't possibly know what the ripple effects of that would be.
I'm like almost crying because it's so beautiful. And like, I'm just thinking as well, like what you have just said, and, just bringing all of these women here for you, like this could be that talk, this could be that half an hour for them that changes everything. And I'm just so grateful.
I have tingles. I have tingles. Yes. Cause we don't know. We never know the footprint that we're leaving.
Yeah.
So that is one example of purpose. Another example of purpose is when I sit down at my desk and I'm like overwhelmed and there's like papers, I don't know what to do first. I'm like, okay, well, it's easy to just open my email. Maybe I'll just sort through my email. And then there's 5,000 emails. And my prefrontal cortex is getting drained because your prefrontal cortex gets drained when you have to make too many decisions, when you have to do too many things. And it is a renewable resource, but a limited resource. So when I sit down and I am purposeless, I am at my desk and I am like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. I am leaking energy and power all over the place. Just it's like leaking and leaking and leaking. If I sit down and I have absolute clarity that these 2 hours are devoted to preparing for my online summit with Shannon, period, end of story, nothing else matters right now. Yes. I have just taken all my power and gone, whoosh, that is also purpose. I learned that also the hard way because when my husband was diagnosed with his brain tumors, you can imagine leading up to that moment, there were so many challenges. Like, what is going on? I had never, if you can believe it, never at that point heard of a brain tumor. So it was just, 17, 18 years ago now. Never heard of a brain tumor. So it didn't even cross my mind that that's what was happening. I was like, is he depressed? Is he this? Is he that? Like, because of all these weird things that I was seeing. The moment that he was diagnosed was both the worst moment of my life and one of the most empowering moments of my life, Because instead of all of this wondering and I don't know and lack of clarity and I don't like, what do I do next? And like, what's going on? It was like, I remember the doctor standing there and he had a nurse with him and a social worker. And I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. And he had tears in his eyes. And he said to John, you have a brain tumor. It's bigger than any brain tumor I've ever seen before. And we need to send you immediately up to Boston. There was something that coalesced in me that powered me up for the challenges that lay ahead. There was this energy all over the place, and suddenly it was like, whoosh, now we know what we're dealing with, and my purpose is to make his life as absolutely amazing as I can, is to make the very best of this situation. It was like, whoosh. So purpose can come in the midst of a shitstorm. Like purpose can come and it is a springboard. We talked about chutes and ladders and the ladder of well-being. Purpose can be a springboard from the red zone to the green zone. You get focused enough on your purpose, you are on fire. And it's not that hard things didn't happen that year. Obviously they did. But my husband and I made a very, very specific, focused intention that we were going to choose love over fear every moment that we could. And that was our purpose. And we were on purpose. We decided to prepare for the worst and expect the best. And that's what we did. So purpose, I can't express enough to everybody who's watching. Please know what your purpose is. Please connect to your purpose. Please do the things that remind you of your purpose. If you're sitting at your desk and you think you have to have like an entire 8-week program mapped out, recorded perfectly, everything done perfectly, screw that. I'm sorry, but that's my take. You might have a different way of doing it. If it energizes you to do that and you're very methodical and organized and that feels good and it fuels you, then that's the thing that's raising your vibration. But if that's not raising your vibration, it's your job. If you want to be the coach you came here to be, or the entrepreneur, or the whatever, it's your job to figure out what fires you up, what lifts you up, and go do that thing. Then you have the fuel that you need to do the things that kind of drag your energy down a bit. I spent years not doing that. I spent years like coaching sometimes, but most of my time worried about recording things or planning things or setting up the marketing thing or doing the lead magnets or blah, 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 like all of those things. That was 90% of my time. And then coaching was 10% of my time. Mm-hmm. It was all off kilter because coaching brings me to life. Speaking brings me to life. Writing brings me to life. This is my A game. And if I'm not making that my priority to play my A game, I'm not going to be in the game at all. I was ready to throw in the towel.
So for those women out there who are like, how can they find their purpose? How can they find that focus? And there's a question there that's popped up as well. How did you turn off the negative voices that were around you?
How did I turn off the negative voices that were around me? That's a really great question. And actually something happened inside. I have a free private Facebook group called the Luminosa Playground. It's a total high vibe place. We're doing this really cool challenge this week. It's the Mystery Challenge, and it's about spreading ripple effects of joy in the world. So this is very apropos and fitting for this. So one of the people who was participating in that, one of the challenges was take 10 sticky notes, write an inspirational message, and go like hide them in like random places throughout your town, throughout your house, like wherever. Just go put them out there. And so one person did that in like to the nth degree, like beautiful messages. And I said, your messages could be simply like, you are loved. Just make it a message that you would love to receive or see that would tickle you. So you could do it on a small, easier scale. You could do it at bigger scale. So she did it on a big scale, all of these beautiful messages. She put them in really cool places. She even made a game for us inside the playground that was like, can you match the message with where I put it? And what happened is that she said she was the highest level of green zone she's ever been in her life when she was doing it. And then her inner critic started to step in. Mm-hmm. Well, that time that you were doing that, you should have been doing this. And then she started to notice that there were people who were responding and saying, you know, like you did such an amazing job. I feel like I can't possibly match that. And so like, I'm not gonna, like, I just decided not to do it. So then she starts going red zone. She starts like, and she literally pulled back and said, I have them calling themselves agents of joy. And she's Agent 333. She literally pulled back and said, Agent 33 is going to temporarily retire and collect my thoughts and collect myself. And that was such a perfect analogy to what we do all the time. Agent 333 is out there doing this amazing work in the world. And then we start listening to other people's voices who have no business in our head. And we decide to let that voice win over ours. And the way that I expressed it to her at the time was we're all going to have stuff kick up, right? Some people are going to be happy when they see what she does. Some people are going to be sad when they see what she does. She was in her green zone. If we don't do everything that we can to maintain our green zone, we can't reserve space for somebody else up here in the green zone. So if we're in the green zone, I call that being in the green zone hotel. If you're in the green zone, you can reserve every possible room you want to. There's amazing views, amazing food. There's like everything you could possibly want in the green zone. The green zone is where you scan for treasures. The red zone is where you scan for threats. So green zone, that's a good one, right? So green zone, if you're holding your place in the green zone, you can invite other people up. You're holding the space for them. Now, people who are in the red zone, and we're all there temporarily, sometimes I am not belittling, like we're human, we're gonna have the hard emotions, we gotta feel them, we move through them, blah, 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 all of that stuff. But the people who are in the red zone are down there and they're like, I'm in the dumpster down here and the view sucks and I see a lot of rats and there's a lot of really bad stuff. And then, so here's Agent 333 who's up here, green zone, green zone, green zone. Here's somebody down in the red zone who's like comparing herself and she's deciding to shrink smaller because of how she's feeling. And then instead of this person holding their space in the green zone and saying, hey, the view's better up here. Come on up here. This is good stuff up here. And trusting that that person can choose or not choose what they want to do. Instead of doing that, she was going down with them into the green zone, giving up her space up here where she could be holding space for everybody else. She's like, oh, the view down there really sucks. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me just give away my power and let me go down there and hang out there with you. Now, I love this woman so much, and I don't know if she's watching today or not, and she knows how much I value the fact that she brought that to the table.
That was
enabled.
thunder.
Is that
Did you
there?
hear that?
Oh my
was
gosh,
thunder,
I
yeah.
did. Wow.
We're having a big
That was
storm,
like
so
that.
I hope the Wi-Fi holds.
That was my husband up in heaven, just punctuating what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay, so, but basically what I said to her is thank you so much for being willing to share with us what was going on for you, because it speaks to what we all do. There's one side of it, which is the person who gives up their light. They're listening to everybody else's opinions. If that person is not on point, in the green zone, making magic happen in their life, they've got no business affecting you. You are the green zone. You've got to hold that space. And Wayne Dyer said that, in one of my clients, Lori, told me this. Wayne Dyer said that one person vibrating at the energy of pure love can offset 75,000 who are at a low vibration.
Well, that's amazing.
So isn't that incredible? So any little bit that we can climb up the ladder and hold that space, it transmutes so many of the lower energy fears. And there are so many invitations to fear around us all the time, and our brains have a bias to negativity. And if we don't intentionally refuel our light all the time, then we will go and join those forces. And the forces of love need to be as convicted, as Marianne Williamson says, as the forces of hate. Get back on purpose, like what in this person's life and that person's life and that person's life. That person down there who's trying to pull you down. And by the way, let me also say, I don't mean any judgment about the person who's trying to pull you down, because that's not their intention. They just happen to be living from a lower vibration place in that moment. And you don't want that to win. It's like I believe we are the light of 1,000 suns, and then we're out there like giving everybody our dimmer switch. Oh, you have an opinion here. You can dim my light a little bit. Oh, you have an opinion here. You can dim my light a little bit. Instead of taking responsibility for powering up our light every minute we can.
Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. So we're finding our purpose. We're showing up in that. That is helping us to keep our power. We're focused
Yes.
on others, not on ourselves, and keeping the vibration high. That's going to keep us in the green zone.
Yes, that is going to keep us in the green zone and get us back to the green zone when we're not in it. Now, there's all kinds of different ones. So let's talk about a different one now. Gratitude. Gratitude is huge. And I'm sure, people have heard gratitude endlessly, but there's a reason that you hear gratitude endlessly. Gratitude actually changes the energy that you're putting out. They know that there's an Institute of Heart Math, and I'm trying to remember the exact numbers, so don't quote me on the exact numbers, but they know that anger for like 1 minute or something stops your immune system for 6 hours.
Can you say that again?
Gratitude turns it back on. Yeah, anger. And remember, just like the numbers are not exact, but it's definitely 6 hours. I think it's anger for 1 minute stops your immune system for 6 hours.
Wow. I've never heard that. That's amazing.
Well, if you think about it, yeah, anger is a fight, flight, or freeze response. So you're going to the red zone. And so your body thinks you're running from a tiger, and it doesn't think your immune system is particularly important in that moment, or your digestive system or anything else.
Yes, exactly.
Gratitude, on the other hand, is like an automatic power source that puts us back in touch with our prefrontal cortex. It tells, if we're stopping to think about what we're grateful for, and I have the perfect question that's like a power question for everybody, and I'll share it in 1 second. But if we're stopping to think about what we're grateful for, if you think about the signal that's going to our brain when we do that, is like, clearly we're not running from a tiger. Because if we were running from a tiger, we wouldn't be stopping to take deep breaths. We wouldn't be stopping to think about what we're grateful for. So it's an automatic signal like, oh, you don't need all this energy to go to the ability to run from a tiger. You can send some of it back to your prefrontal cortex. And then the more that you send the energy back to your prefrontal cortex, the more you can build on that, and it gets stronger and stronger. So the question that I ask all the time that helps me with gratitude is, what's the gift in this? That seriously, if that was the only thing that people took away from today, it would be to ask yourself, what's the gift in this? There is always a gift, and it requires a mountain of faith sometimes to believe that there's a gift. Sometimes it does not evidence itself for years. But if you are dedicated, I saw the lightning behind you. Oh, wow. If you are dedicated to finding the gift, it will change everything. It will change your orientation. It will reprogram your brain. It will rewire you. So an example of this is when my husband, during my husband's battle with the brain tumor, he had his first seizure, and I wasn't expecting it. The story is an interesting one, but I won't go into the whole story. So he had a seizure. My son was on the changing room table at the time, and John leaned over to get a diaper to hand to me, and then he just went down on the ground, and his head started banging against a radiator, and he was turning blue. And I was like, what do I do with my son? I don't want my son to see that, but I don't know what to do. So thankfully, my stepdaughter was visiting, and she was supposed to go out that night, and she had decided, she had this intuition not to. So I yelled, Jen, and she came running into the room without even asking a question. She scooped Ben up, and she got on the phone with 911. So I could pull John away from the radiator. There's blood everywhere. I don't know if he's dying. I don't know what's happening. So the 911 people arrive, and we're on our way to we're in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. I have programmed that question in my mind so deeply that it was an automatic mantra. I'm in the ambulance with my husband. What's the gift in this? 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 And then I'm like, thank God Jen was home. Thank God she didn't go out. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for the men who are like as nice as they could be, who got him down the stairs. I'm so grateful that we have a hospital close by. I'm so grateful, just all of the gifts that could be in it. Now, there could be gifts that are like, you know what, because that happened, something else wouldn't happen. You know, maybe you get stuck in traffic and you're all annoyed, but the fact is you're missing an accident that you might have been in. Like, we don't know what we're not experiencing because the universe might be looking out for us by this thing that looks like hell happening. And so what happened by asking myself that question, he needs my brain. When we get to the hospital, if I'm freaking out, I can't help. I can't ask good questions. I can't navigate the system. Me asking that question started putting the energy back into my prefrontal cortex and meant that when we got to the hospital, I could be relatively calm. I could ask good questions and everything else. Now, this happens too in life, in our businesses. Something doesn't go the way that we hope it would. What's the gift? There's going to be a lesson in it. There's going to be a gift in it. There's going to be some outcome you couldn't know. And I have an awesome example of that. When I set the intention to have 1,000 luminosas in the playground, I just started this a couple months ago. And it's already like, I set the intention for July 31st, 1,000 by midnight. Did everything that I could. We do everything that we can. We set our intention. We go in the direction we want to. We align ourselves with a high vibration. And then we have to trust that things are going to unfold in a way that might be better than we could possibly imagine, or that's right for us for some reason that we can't see. So when I went to bed that night at midnight, we had gone from 750 up to 942 luminosas in the playground. And I was like, that's amazing. I was so excited. And instead of being disappointed that we didn't hit the 1,000, I was like, who I became on the way to this goal, I'm so proud of. Who the playground became on the way to this goal, I'm so proud of. All of the people that invited their friends, it's like, I'm blown away. People went through and invited like hundreds of friends into the playground. Like, I just was blown away by the whole thing. So I went to bed that night. The next morning I woke up and the number, I think it was 967 or 969. So I posted, woohoo, 900 and whatever number. And Lori, who might be watching this now, Lori McNeil, she actually looked up that number as an angel number. And it is an angel number that says, you are on your divine purpose. Keep going.
Oh my God.
And within hours, we had the 1,000. Now we're at like 1,108, I think. It's just exploding. It's so, so cool. But in my human form, I was like, 1,000, that's my goal. And I did everything I could to reach that goal. And then I had to surrender. I had to let go. I had to be like, I showed the universe my direction. And the universe was like, okay. And I couldn't possibly have known that I was going to get a message from an angel. Like, all that had to happen. Lori had to see that thing. Lori had to look it up. Lori had to send it to me. All of the things that had to happen for me to get that message. Like, and then you take the gratitude and you just expand it. Not just, oh, that's really cool. But every opportunity for gratitude, like, holy moly, what needed to happen for all of that to come together is mind-blowing.
Oh my goodness. I just want to cry this like whole segment. It's so moving, and you know, just everything that you have been through and how now you are imparting that on others is so powerful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You. So
absolutely.
So
you want to hear the third one?
Yeah. So gratitude, and the question we're going to ask ourselves is, what is the gift in this?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Exactly. And the third one is play.
Love it.
Play is an absolute green zone activator. We've got to play. I used to think, a previous version of me, I used to think like, okay, if the opportunity presents itself to play, I'll play. But guess what? The opportunity wasn't presenting itself. I was a single mom. I owned a wellness center, a brick and mortar business that was like driving me to the ground because of the challenges of running it. And I remember one day, my dear friend Kathy, who was standing with me, and I was like tearing my hair out because I couldn't get this QuickBooks to, like, the numbers weren't matching up, and the finances and the this and the that. And I was like, oh. And she was like, Ellie, breathe, take a walk. And I was like, I can't take a walk. I don't have time to take a walk. I wasn't mad at her, but that's like the feeling that I had in what I said. And I look back on that version of me and I think, oh, sweetie, like, she was so right, because the moment that you step away is the moment that the answers can fall in. It's like the moment that you go play is the moment that you get back into the vibration where the answers are. So my best answers come to me, my best ideas come to me when I'm gardening, when I'm getting a massage, when I have opportunities to play. Like my son a couple weeks ago asked me to play Risk at 11:30 at night. And my first answer was like, I really need to get sleep. And then I was like, screw that. My 16-year-old son is asking me to play Risk. I don't know when this is going to happen again. Yes, I will play. Absolutely, I will play. And the day that I launched Luminosa, Rise Up Luminosa, my first course inside the Luminosa Playground, typically when I've launched programs before, I'd be like, okay, I got to make sure that this is working. And this, oh, did I remember to post here? And did I remember to do this? And I remember to do this? And it was Ben's vacation. It was April vacation. And there was an opportunity to take him and his girlfriend to Newport, Rhode Island to go to the beach. It was the only day that was going to be nice that week. And I was like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoosh, I just got to trust. I got to trust that it's all going to be okay. And I need to go and have fun with the kids and make this happen. And I just dropped it. I worked until, 11 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock in the morning. I did everything that I could. And I was just like, okay, I could have worked all day. Mm-hmm. I could do another post here. I could do another thing here. I could do this. I could do that. But what was far more valuable was to go to Newport and relax. We went to the beach. We walked around. We just had fun. I came home that night. And then I went live, and then I launched the program from such a different vibrational place than I would otherwise have been in. So my recommendation is that you get to know what fuels your light, what do you enjoy doing, and go do it. If it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, hours, make time for play. I call Fridays Fun Fridays, because of the alliteration and because it's just a time each week when I check in with myself and I check in with my clients. What are you doing for fun? Where is fun in your life? It's too easy for fun to fall by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that you're creating time for fun, it also impacts all the people around you. When they see you giving yourself permission to have fun, they have permission to have fun. They also get a really different version of you. The version of me that would have been kind of snappish because I was super focused on hunting mode, trying to get it all done, would have been a very different version of me than the version of me that went off to the beach and laughed all day and relaxed and took pictures, did a live video on the beach and took pictures with my feet in the sand and all of that. So play is the third green zone elevator and activator that I wanted to share with you guys today.
Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of you being here with us and really helping us to raise our vibration, because I'm sure there's a lot of emotion going on in all these comments going on here. Melissa's saying you embraced your goddess. Jennifer's saying my heart is exploding right now. Ned, it's incredible. So does anybody have any final questions for Ellie? If you do, pop them down in the comments below. If there was one thing that you could leave everybody with, besides all of the amazingness that you've just imparted on us, what would it be?
It would be that the best gift that you can give anybody in your life is your joy and your happiness. It's the best gift that you can give your clients. It's the best gift you can give your family. It's the best gift that you can offer to the world, the vibrational energy that you are putting out with joy and happiness. And that, I don't mean that as pressure. I am not somebody who believes you have to be happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. No, it just means that you prioritize your resources, your time, your money, your energy and attention on doing the things, learning the things that build you up. Because when you are your Luminosa, you change the frickin' world.
So incredible. So I will get Ellie to come back in, and of course please come back in and pop your link to Luminosa, the Luminosa Playground, in the comments. So Absolutely. Anyone who wants to go over and have a little play in the playground.
Yes, we're in the middle of the 10-day challenge, so you can go back and do the first 5 days, or you can just start from here and move forward. It's super, super fun.
You're going to get a lot of us in there. I'm coming to hang out. Let me just see here. There's a few comments popping up here. Laurie says, "Come join Ellie's playground. We're having so much fun."
Oh, Laurie, I love you.
And Jen's just saying, "My husband always tells me I'm a joy giver, and I step out of my power over and over when I'm in doubt." Thank you so much for saying that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you for saying that, because so many people like this is another really important point. You don't give of your essence, you give of your overflow. You fill yourself up so that what you are giving is the bonus. And you take responsibility for your own happiness is one of the best gifts you can give to the world, because I mean that's huge. So yes, please, it is so important. Like that is one of the beautiful things that women have to offer the world, is an incredible facility with our emotions up and down and all of the things. But joy is one of those emotions that we can tap into in a big way, and it affects the people around us in a really good way. It empowers the people around us.
Yes. Thank you so much for saying that. And I think, we as women, and a lot of mums as well, often have that inability to do that. We're always looking at after everybody else, and it's the overflow that's going to be the magic for them.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very true. And that's one of the ways, a lot of times women will not do for themselves just based on like just what you said. And so one of the ways to really start to generate the desire in women to start taking better care of themselves is when they do understand that how it impacts their children if they're not taking care of themselves. First of all, you're at a lower vibrational level. So that's what you're sending to them. That's what you're teaching them. That's what you're drawing to them. Second of all, they don't have the full essence of you. Third of all, you're moving for them all the time. And if you don't prioritize, then your kids are
They're our biggest teachers, aren't they?
Are you still there?
I'm still here. I was just talking.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear whatever you just said.
I said,
You're cutting in and the only thing I heard from that was our children are a big your words are very funny. It's like stole or. At least we made it through most of it.
so much, and I just want to say thank you. This